this is for the people who weren't going to do the essay anyway.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was about to say.
Oh my gosh, you're using this. It's like, yeah, because otherwise I'm not going to do it.
Woody Show.
Into another new hour here on The Woody Show. Woody, Greg, Menace, Gina Gran.
Hi.
We got Seabass, we got Sammy.
Morning.
Morgan's here. Taking your calls. Phones are open. 877-44-WOODY. Text us over to 22987. There was a story, speaking of your brain going to mush.
Yeah.
What do I need to retain that for? What do
Yeah,
I need?
right.
I got computers.
Computer.
Yeah, MIT, Greg's alma mater.
Yes.
Has concluded that Chat-GPT is turning our brains into mush.
I believe it.
Yeah.
It isn't making people more productive, not even remotely. The study divided 54 people with ages ranging from 18 to 39 into 3 groups. They were then required to write several SAT essays using Chat-GPT, also Google's search engine, and then nothing else. And then while they were writing, they were connected to an EEG that recorded their brain activity in these 32 different areas. And Chat-GPT users had the lowest brain engagement. Yeah, you know why? Because it's so damn convenient.
It's doing it for you.
You don't, it requires the least amount of brain.
Right.
Well, that's what I said. As somebody who went back to school and there's all these warnings like check this box and, on the honor system, you're not using ChatGPT. All these students are, and they're going to be pilots and surgeons and people that we have our lives in their hands and they're not going to learn anything and their grades are better.
More access to any information than any doctor's ever had.
But they're not learning anything.
They found that Chat-GPT users, by the way, got lazier with each subsequent essay.
That's what I'm saying.
Resorting to cut
They're doing
and
stupid
paste.
essays. Who cares?
But see, he's not getting the point. The
Did
point
you see
when you don't flex your brain, it atrophies, and it just gets, and you have less
calcifies?
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. You have less access to know what you're supposed to be looking for.
It's like the muscles getting flabby, so you wouldn't even know where to go from there.
It's very a Wall-E sort of situation.
Sounds like all these book nerds are butthurt about it. But did you see that? The UCLA graduate in the middle of his graduation, he was showing the
laptop,
of
all his
Chat-GPT that he used to
there you go
graduate.
Yeah. Now, did UCLA pull his?
I was thinking about that.
Because his degree.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, you're at the graduation. You don't get the actual degree, right?
It's more of a
on the
ceremony,
stage. Just like they hand you the little scroll or whatever.
Then later you get it.
And then later, but once they see that, then they go,
You know what I've been using Chat-GPT for lately is recipes.
Oh, that's good.
I'll buy chicken. I was like, tell me something to make with chicken and coconut milk, and then
Glad
it's
you
a
asked.
recipe.
Yeah,
and it's
that's cool.
It's a great feature.
There's actually a new startup that's been raising a lot of investment money. They got another $15 million in funding. They got another 5.3 here just earlier. But the two founders, they were kicked out of Columbia University. They created a tool. It's called Interview Coder that helped engineers cheat on technical interviews. And what their program does is it uses an undetectable AI to coach people through interviews and calls and just basically tells them what to say. So you're doing a job interview.
How hard is that?
It tells you exactly what to say. Well, if they're quizzing you on specific things. Oh, yeah, people freeze up. I've seen it.
Yeah.
Where we interview people for things. And
there's some people that are really good workers, but they suck at interviews.
For now, it's mostly a desktop tool, but it can be used for everything from exams to job interviews, even sales calls for work. And the critics, there's a lot of them. They keep trying to say this kind of stuff, shouldn't be legal, arguing that telling people what to say is just cheating.
Shouldn't be legal.
But besides work stuff, it could also be used in your personal life, like online dating. Nice. So you could basically trick someone into thinking that you know a lot about one of their dumb interests or art or whatever, and then you're really just reading off of a script.
Yeah, but still,
that's harmless, right?
Yeah. When real life comes to it, like doing the job and things like that,
they're gonna find out quick.
Yeah, but then if you're doing the job and you don't know how to do something, Chat-GPT it. It'll tell you how to do it.
Well, kind of this cycle.
Yeah, either way, you're going to get the job done. I think what Menace is saying is that for the smarties, the smarty pants who just committed all this crap to memory or whatever, is that was kind of like
guess what? Game's
being
over.
The people who have always been skinny or work out are pissed about weight loss drugs because that's the thing they always had over everybody else.
All the people that
I was skinny, I worked
everything.
Yeah, so you did all this work and you've worked out and you worked your brain out from keeping it from the atrophying.
Yeah.
And,
right.
And you got to be the smartest person in the room.
And now, on any given subject, right here in this moment, Menace can be just as smart as Seabass on something just because he's got Chat-GPT.
Yep.
But see, that's the point, is that
Or he can sound just as smart.
That's not what that study says, and that's part of the brain atrophy right there. Is that eventually you just won't know anything, and you might as well be your
Well,
phone.
No,
I think
100%
what
reliant.
what Seabass is missing is this is for the people who weren't going to do the essay anyway.
Yes, thank you. That's what I was about to say.
Oh my gosh, you're using this. It's like, yeah, because otherwise I'm not going to do it.
I was just about to say the same thing Sammy just said. Like, the people that are going to want to do the extra effort and like learn more are always going to do that. The people that don't want to do that, they're just never going to do it.
What's the point? Let me ask you, because Seabass is like holding his
motivated
head like,
people are not going to become
Surprised
lazy.
again, the two people who never read a book in high school.
Yeah.
Well, let me ask you a question. So what's the benefit of already knowing something before you need it compared to you didn't know of something and now you need to know it, and so you go on and
Right, I understand what you're saying, but that's not what that study said. That study says is your brain, you're not using your brain, therefore you're not stretching your creativity.
I understand that part. I'm talking about the bigger picture of just AI in general.
Well, I think that's great.
How people can use it. I mean, it happens in here a lot where like you'll look at something immediately that you weren't quite sure about what was going on, but now it satisfies the curiosity.
Exactly.
It gives you the information that you need. You got it in no time at all.
You just hit the right point there, the curiosity. Because people say, oh, Seabass is the Google master. I'm not Googling every phrase out of every person's mouth, but when something strikes me as nonsensical, incoherent, something that doesn't comport with things that I know to go and look for that. But if I've been using Chat-GPT my whole life, and like this study shows, your brain is just not getting used, you don't even think to ask these questions. You don't think to have the creativity to write this essay.
But I mean, it's also the topic. It doesn't mean that person themselves isn't curious or want to learn certain things. They just don't care about this particular thing that they're having to write an essay on.
Here's either way, and I've seen Mark Cuban talk about this. I've seen Gary Vaynerchuk talk about it. Like, you should absolutely be learning how to use AI, like in some way, shape, or form, because you're going to need to know how to prompt it, even though it's getting easier.
Yeah.
Like, the prompts don't have to be as exact as they did when it first came out.
Yeah.
But like, if you were just one of those people who are like a lot of older people, like our grandparents, like when computers first came out, they go, I don't need it. I have a secretary.
Yeah,
They'll
I
do
have
that.
a triangle device.
I don't need to know this. I'm going to have, and they wanted to do things that the computers are here to stay. AI was here to stay. So you better get used to it. It's not going. The cat's out of the bag. You can't put that back.
Well, I think
As a tool, though, not as a replacement for your own brain.
By the time it gets to that point, it'll be built into stuff. You're like Greg's saying.
Sure.
Well, I want to make some kind of chicken dish tonight, and it'll say, "Oh, do you want to?" And it's listening, of course. Do you want to? What kind of thing do you want to do? Something Italian? And here's some options. Here's the ingredients.
Not quick. How do I do eye surgery?
But it's even better though, because
how do I do my own vasectomy?
Right.
Yeah.
It just spits out a recipe, because if you are specific about it, like, hey, I got some chicken, I got some coconut milk, give me a recipe. It's not just like a Google list where you have to click on it, read all these different. It tells you, here's what you're making.
Here's the three most common things. Here's easy for you. It'll know your skill set, know what you're able to do, and maybe even say, but I want to try something a little more complicated.
Wait till I get a robot.
And what I like about it too is
have it make it for you.
Well, I am looking into something, especially on a research type of, like, I've been doing a little bit of that with some of this other stuff that I've been working on the side. And like, you need something from, I don't know, like a government website per se.
Yeah.
Where's the law or the the guideline on this based on their policy? And it'll say article whatever and it gives you a link to the page of their website that explains all that, but it can break it down to you in layman's terms,
Right.
And so that's pretty cool. But this article is saying that AI might be just as threatening to employers as it is for employees. So people keep talking about how it's going to replace your job, but it's also a risk for the employers, and it goes into that a little bit. Because when you're talking about, like, these are people that you're interviewing who don't necessarily know what the hell they're talking about, so it's a risk for them, because now
you're wasting time and money and effort.
Correct.
Yeah, to get them on, to employ them when they can't honestly do the job.
Yeah.
But we're constantly told that we can get our lives to be made easier with certain things, like Menace's refrigerator that tells them, hey, you're out of milk, or whatever. Or your washing machine, we'll let you know when your laundry's done. Like, life wasn't as hard as everybody says it was.
Well, delivering a meal, like you said, with DoorDash and stuff like that.
Yeah.
When did delivering meal become hard?
There was one of those videos that showed up on Instagram, and if you could trigger a midlife crisis with a video, this would have been it. Because I was watching, I showed it to you, the 1995 video where it said 1995 high school.
Oh my God.
And it just
nostalgia.
All it was just showing kids, high school kids,
Like with a camcorder.
yeah, like in class or hanging out with their friends at lunch, and it's just like a montage video of like how life kind of. And as someone, I graduated in '95. It's like, wow, not one person's on a phone. Everybody's kind of interacting. Everybody seems happy and light and joking around. Now, of course, those
living
are
life.
You could still do that. You could just find clips of people who are happy and laughing and cut them all together today. But it was interesting because not one person was on the phone. You didn't any shot in the background or anywhere. And it was just as much as things make things easier, sometimes it makes other things way more difficult.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Relationships and
Other
critical
things
thinking.
Yeah, other things that you didn't even have to think about
Yeah,
before
exactly.
now are issues for people, are screwing people up. But like watching it was like, oh man, those were good times.
They were.
Like
We're the last generation.
If one video could trigger a midlife crisis.
And you didn't need an app for every store you go to.
Well, dude, Salt Lake City, they're looking at using AI to answer 911 calls.
Oh no.
Sweet.
I don't hate that because
I don't hate it.
most of them are worthless and shouldn't be going to 911.
And it's just inputting information.
It could pick up about 30% of the 450,000 non-emergency calls they get. So it wouldn't be for I'm having a heart attack or
Okay.
someone's breaking into my house. It would be for the stuff that Seabass calls for.
So the non-emergency.
Like there's a guy masturbating outside the 7-Eleven or something.
And I want him to stay.
And it's just transferring information into a computer.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that's fine.
Yeah, and it can assign it to whatever it needs to do and
Puts it in
done.
dispatches it.
Yeah.